We are back. Week 17, DFS Deep Dive. Let's get into it.
Don't just stay in the shallow end. Join us on a DFS deep dive on For Frequency's Sake. And now here are your hosts, Brian Craighead and Jordan Kernan.
Like I said, week 17, about to become an agenda. It's going to be one. There are a lot. Sorry, sharing my stuff. All right. We've got a lot of teams doing some weird stuff. I mean, I guess it makes sense in the long run just because you have like teams like the Broncos who I kind of didn't understand why they were going to sit Russell Wilson. But then, with the contract and stuff like that, I guess I understand it. I get it a little bit more now. And you've got so many teams just log jammed. I don't have my article out quite yet. It's in the works. I've been putting the finishing touches on basement. Can't see. We've got the walls all painted. We're starting to put the carpet down. It has been a work in progress all season long. And you guys got to kind of finish it out with me here for the last home stretch. But everything's painted. The lights are in. And we are good to go. With that being said, we're going to jump through the games here. Games that I really, there's some games that I like. There's some games that I don't. The games that are like close spreads that are games that are like, oh man, you've got this team that should really dominate. There's a team that they're playing that's just not really in it anymore. Huge slate this week, 13 games, 10 games in the morning, 3 games at night. And then you've got a Saturday game, you've got a Sunday night game, and there's no Monday night football left. If you're in the season-long fantasy, if you had, hopefully you got Amari Cooper out of your lineups if you had him. Not a bad start for some of you if you guys were using a flyer at quarterback like Joe Flacco. He had a huge night again. David Njoku, Elijah Moore before he got hurt, Jerome Ford. Really, Breece Hall had a good game. So if you had any of those guys, you should be sitting at a pretty good start. If you're like my boy Steve Delaney, who decided that he was going to bet both defenses to score a touchdown last night, and you had plus 4,600 odds, $10 won him 460 last night. But running through the games here, we got Miami at Baltimore, Tennessee at Houston, New England at Buffalo, the Rams at the Giants, 49ers at the Commanders, Cardinals at the Eagles, Saints at Bucks, Panthers at Jags, Falcons at the Bears, Raiders at the Colts, Steelers at the Seahawks, Chargers at the Broncos, and the Bengals at the Chiefs. Just a few games that kind of pop out right away. Dolphins at Ravens, they're both fighting for the number 1 seed still. Right now, Baltimore's pretty well got locked up, but if Miami beats them, I'm not sure where it goes to after conference, but if Miami can beat them, they're going to give themselves an opportunity to have a shot at that number 1 seed. So that's probably my favorite game. That's not my team that I'll be watching this week. CJ Stroud's back for the Texans, going up against the Titans, who have nothing to play for. I like some pieces of that Titans team just because I think we see a little Tajay Spears this week. Patriots at the Bills. The Bills are still, they're not locked in yet, but they've got a shot at at least the 5 seed, or at least the 6 seed, maybe the 5 seed. Actually, it looks like they're probably, with Cleveland winning, I think they're stuck where they're at, kind of. They still might be able to move up. I guess it all depends on tiebreakers and stuff. The Rams at the Giants. The Rams need to win. The Giants have made a change at quarterback. 49ers taking on the Commanders. I like the 49ers to roll here, but they've got Jacoby Brissett starting for the Commanders this week, which kind of just seems like they're going to just be competitive. They're still coming to play. It's in Washington. So the Commanders defense sucks. I think the 49ers roll here, but that's got the highest game total on the slate. Cardinals at the Eagles. I mean, the Cardinals really haven't stopped much of anybody lately. The Eagles are 12-point favorites. I like the Eagles to roll here. Saints at Bucks, that should be a good one. The Bucks kind of have a stranglehold on the division, but the Saints could play spoiler here. Jacksonville taking on the Panthers. The Panthers are kind of just done. I think their season's kind of over, and we're waiting on news for Trevor Lawrence still. But we'll have to see, wait and see here. Falcons at the Bears. This is probably one of the few games that there's really nothing at stake. Or I guess a whole lot at stake. Atlanta, I guess, is still kind of in the wild card hunt. They need some help and they need to win. But the Bears don't have anything really to play for, so I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing. We could see something crazy happen. Jumping back over, Raiders at the Colts. The Colts are in. They have a wild card spot right now. They need a win to hold on to it. The Raiders are still on the outside looking in. Same thing with the Steelers and Seahawks. Both these teams are still fighting for a playoff spot. This game here, the Chargers at the Broncos. Like I said, I understand why Denver's benching Russell Wilson for the money, and they're probably going to move on from him anyway. But they still have a shot at the playoffs. So it's, I don't know, teach your own, I guess. And then the Bengals and the Chiefs. The Bengals still have a shot at the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. They're kind of on the outside looking in. They need a win. They need some losses from some other teams. And the Chiefs really can't. I mean, they're kind of sitting, need to win just to kind of hold on to that 3 seed. They've got the division pretty well locked up at this point. So it's just a matter of, if the Jaguars can overtake them or not, but I don't see that happening. So, like I said, I mean, really, everybody's got something to play for in almost every single game this week, which is really, it's one of those things to where we did if you haven't done our season long awards, check that out on our Facebook page, on the For Frequency's Sake Facebook page. I've shared it. But at the bottom, it asked me, what's your favorite NFL moment from this year? And there's been some good ones, but none that really stands out from the crowd. I think the best thing for me is the fact that we're week 17 and we don't have almost every playoff spot locked up. There is a lot left up for grabs. So I'm kind of excited to see these last couple weeks here. I mean, obviously we'll know more after this week, but it's exciting. So having said that, games that, like I said, I mean, I'm kind of targeting everything. I'm all over the place. With some of the quarterback situations that we have right now, we've got really, really cheap options, and I think that's the way I'm going to go this week. So I'm not getting into any games I like because I like pretty much all of them. I don't think there's anything that I'm really going to stay away from, except for maybe the Chargers Broncos. But even from there, there's pieces that I like. So I'm going to jump into what I've got for a lineup to start the week. Let me share my screen here. Make sure it's on there. We are good. So if you see the start of my lineup right here, it starts with Tyrod Taylor. I think that DraftKings got this pricing wrong 100%. After he came in relief of Tommy DeVito last week, and Tommy DeVito is still listed as a starter, basically. I mean, he's still priced as a starter. Tyrod Taylor's coming in. He looks good. He brings a rushing upside. And for $4,600, I don't even need to stack him with anybody because I really honestly don't. I don't like any of the stack pieces. Maybe Darren Waller, maybe Sterling Shepard. But other than that, or no, I'm sorry, not Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. I don't mind those guys, but I also don't want to take a guess on who's going to be the guy. So Tyrod Taylor, if he throws 2 or 3 touchdowns, great. That's awesome. Are they probably going to go to like Saquon Barkley or something like that? Yeah, probably. But if he could rush a couple in as well. And if Tyrod Taylor rushes in a touchdown and throws for 2 more, he's going to blow this $4,600 away. At $4,600, 4 times the salaries, what you're looking for to keep you on pace for a huge tournament win. So, I mean, he literally needs less than 20 points to keep you on pace for that. And just look at the rest of the lineup. Look at what it does for me. It lets me play the opposite side of this game in Kyren Williams, who I think, he's just a stud. 20 to 25 touches every single game, all passing game work. I mean, they rely on him a lot. Then Zamir White, Josh Jacobs is out this week. Now, I do have a couple $100 left. I thought about maybe going with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco are both out. I like the matchup a little bit more for Zamir White, just because Indianapolis isn't great against the run. But if Edwards-Helaire is available, you just have a decision to make. The way that the Raiders kind of run their offense, Aiden O'Connell didn't complete a pass the first last week, and Zamir White just got a ton of volume, and they kind of just rode their defense. They could do it in here. So I'd be kind of interested to see. Nico Collins, and he was just a plug-in. He's kind of what I have left after I filled out the rest of my lineup. But with CJ Stroud back, them needing to win, and Tennessee being a pass funnel defense, I really like Nico Collins and the upside there. Drake London, same thing. I mean, he's going against Chicago. Chicago's been way better against the run lately. But Drake London's kind of the guy. I mean, he gets all the passing, or a lot of the passing work. He gets a lot of targets throughout the week. So I don't mind Drake London. Cedric Wilson. Now this is where, if you wanted to, you could take, Tyrod Taylor and pair him with Slate, who's probably my favorite stack piece. But Cedric Wilson should slide into the number 2 role with Jalen Waddle's out this week. So Cedric Wilson, or probably, I just don't like the matchup against Baltimore. So I might change a little bit there, but just with the news, it just fit. And we'll kind of go over this lineup again. But Gerald Everett, so Keenan Allen's out, Josh Palmer's trending towards out, and Austin Eckler isn't the pass catching back that he used to be. Gerald Everett had like 8 targets, I believe, last week. We'll look into it when we get there. But he had 8 targets, or it was either 8 or 11. But a ton of work. The Chargers are, trying to see they've got available with all these people, and I really do like Gerald Everett here. And then, so if you look at my lineup, it lets you get the top 2 running backs on the slate, and Kyren Williams and Christian McCaffrey. The dude he should tear Washington up. I do worry a little bit about the blowout, but if they're blowing them out 42 to 10, then it's probably on the back of Christian McCaffrey and Purdy. So, and then I usually don't like playing my defense against the player that I have in my lineup, but the Broncos just kind of fit with Easton Stick in there. With all the injuries that the Chargers do have, I don't mind the Broncos defense at all. And there's, like I said, we can kind of play around with it a little bit, maybe afford something, because there are some defense that I think could pay up for. So with that being said, let's get to the first commercial break here, and then we'll jump into it position by position.
Serving the Quad Cities area since 1973. And with over 50 years of excellence on their track record, you'll see why it's so easy to trust their experts when it comes to all of your home improvement projects. This family-owned business has you covered on all your needs. Protect your home or building from the elements today and get great roof repair services. Need new windows? No problem. Durham Remodeling can upgrade your windows and doors. Whether you want to upgrade the little details in your home or office, or want to tear a room down and start fresh, the expert contractors at Durham Remodeling have your back. Even the smallest changes can completely transform your space. Ready to start entertaining your friends for backyard barbecues? Durham Remodeling will help you plan, design, and build your deck and patio for the perfect outdoor space. Durham Remodeling's work is 100% guaranteed, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best service around. Call 309-786-6715 today for your free estimate for all your roofing, siding, flooring, windows, and painting needs. That's Durham Remodeling, 309-786-6715.
All right, and we're back. Durham Remodeling. They sponsor all the shows, sponsor the flagship show. Check them out if you need some work done around the house. All right, so I cleared out my lineup here, and we are going to jump into the quarterback position. Like I said, I think I'm sticking with paying way down for quarterback this week. The only reason why I can see paying up is just specifically for ownership purposes. But even ownership has kind of come way up on some of these guys. Tyrod Taylor's in the top 10. So is Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, and Patrick Mahomes. So, you really not getting anything crazy as far as like ownership. But I mean, nobody's over 10% owned. So, I mean, that'll all change come Sunday. But if we're going through the upside, I mean, Jalen Hurts he's got a ton of upside. I do worry about the blowout against Arizona. Josh Allen can do it all. But the biggest thing for me is that, Bill Belichick, whether or not he's going to be in in New England after this year or not, he likes to take away your best player. The best player on the Buffalo Bills team is Josh Allen. So I definitely see them trying to limit him. Lamar Jackson is really interesting at only $7,700. He can kind of do it all. It's just a matter of will he get there. I mean, he's had 3 games over 3 points. The 30-point upside is there. And you're going to really need Miami to kind of keep it close. With the firepower that they have, I do see that being possible. But I also kind of thought that might be a little bit possible with San Francisco last week, and Baltimore really shut them down. So with Miami not having the weapons that they're going to have, and Waddle and kind of Tyreek Hill, he's coming off an ankle injury. He doesn't have an injury designation though, so I don't mind it. It's got to stay close for it to be a shootout and for Lamar to really pay off that $7,700. Pat Mahomes has just been really, really disappointing all year long. I don't mind him. I don't mind him at that price. The price point on Pat Mahomes is really, really good. So I don't mind it there. And, Cincinnati keep it close. I just, I mean, he's only averaging 19 points and he hits his average at 7,500. That's not even 3x. So I'm trying to stay away from him. Then you got Tua going up against Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore made Purdy look pretty crappy. I think Tua is a better quarterback, but even still, it's in Baltimore. And Lamar Jackson's come out that he's trying to stay humble. He's not trying to let that win go to his head. So I think Lamar keeps him under wraps. And I think the defense really comes out and steps up again. So I'm kind of staying away from Tua a little bit. I don't mind Justin Fields here with the upside that he brings going up against Atlanta, but Atlanta's been pretty stingy on defense all year long. Now that we know that CJ Stroud's going to play, I mean, CJ Stroud before he got hurt he was kind of unreal. He was lighting it up every single week, and then he got hurt in week 14 against the Jets. He's been out the last 2. He comes back here, $7,100, going up against the pass funnel defense. I don't mind CJ Stroud. Same with Brock Purdy. I mean, yeah, he had a rough outing last week, but he gets probably the best bounce back matchup you can find going up against the Commanders. Trevor Lawrence is out, so that is official now. So it looks like CJ Beathard will most likely start. It kind of scares me for just the entire passing game in general, just because Carolina's been really good against the pass and not allowing a ton of points to the quarterback position. So I don't mind Travis Etienne, but we'll talk about running backs when we get there. Matthew Stafford's been okay all year long. He just really doesn't. I mean, 18 is his average. I mean, he's only adding about 3 times his salary every week. But the last few weeks, he's kind of turned it on the tail end of the season here. The last 5 weeks that are right here, I mean, he's only been under 20 points, only been under 22 points, really, one time. And really, honestly, that was almost a 23-pointer. So at 6,600, we'll have to see. He's been throwing it a ton, but he really doesn't have the touchdown equity because Kyron Williams. I mean, he passes them to him sometimes. Kyler Murray, I don't mind Kyler Murray. It's usually this mid-tier of usually this mid-tier of quarterbacks is where you want to be, but nothing just, usually there's a standout matchup. Nothing really stands out. He had an illness, but he was limited at practice today, so I don't think he misses. Um, if he's going to have a good matchup to throw the ball, Philly's it. They can't stop anybody in their secondary. Baker Mayfield's been on fire the last few weeks. He's really got command of this defense or this offense, and it really depends on what they do. I think they put up 29 in this matchup earlier this year, 26, and he had almost 24 points, and his price point's pretty close to the same. So if he puts up 24, that's 4x at C100. Russell Wilson got benched. Geno Smith is a surprising in top 10 in ownership, going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been kind of hit or miss on their defense lately. Like last week, they were really, really good. But then there's been weeks where they haven't been so good. But both these teams fighting for playoff spots. You get into like Jake Browning. KC's defense has been pretty good. So, I mean, they held O'Connell to no completions after the first quarter. I mean, that's probably a big part of why Aiden Model sucks. It's probably a combination of both. But it kind of worries me a little bit there. Gardner Minshew going against the Raiders. The Raiders have been, look what they did to Pat Mahomes last week. They kind of shut him down, and they shut down that offense. So, and they were on the road. They're on the road here again. Gardner Minshew's not the quarterback that Pat Mahomes is. I do worry about Max Crosby getting home a lot, and the Raiders defense just making it tough on Minshew. Sam Howell's not starting. Derek Carr. The matchup's good, but I never played Derek Carr. I'm sorry. He's not good. Yeah, okay. He had almost a 30-point performance last week, but that's the only time that's happened this year. More often than not, he's got the one pop game that kind of happens. They're fighting for a playoff spot still. They're still in the running, but I just don't like Derek. You do that again and you burn me again, okay, I'll take word, late crow. Yeah, no thanks. Mariota's not starting. O'Connell, no thanks. Will Levis, they started Tannehill last week. Levis he's in line to start this week, but I'm still probably staying away. Houston's defense not the greatest, but he hasn't done a whole lot. Tommy DeVito's not starting. No Sam Darnold. CJ Beathard. Like I said, Carolina's defense has been pretty stingy all year long. Not a big fan of Beathard here. Easton Stick, I don't mind going against Denver. And when the article comes out here, probably tomorrow, you'll see what I'm talking about. I kind of was like, I'm either going to pay all the way up in, $7,000 to $8,000 range, or I'm coming all the way down here to the low fives and below. I think Kenny Pickett is out again this week. He's listed as questionable. Mason Rudolph will start, so it doesn't even matter if Kenny Pickett's cleared. Mason Rudolph is going to start. I don't mind Mason Rudolph. Seattle, somebody that you can attack through the air. So I'd be kind of interested to see there. None of these guys are starting. No Jimmy G, Bryce Young. Jacksonville, it's showing on DraftKings that Jacksonville's not the best of the worst in the league against the pass, but I don't trust Bryce Young. So I'm staying away from that. Jacoby Brissett, another guy who's getting a start, but going up against that San Francisco defense, I just, I don't know. I don't trust it. But who knows? It could kickstart this Washington team, and maybe they're about to a 14-0 lead. But then that would just pay dividends for San Francisco, I think. Bailey Zappi against Buffalo. No thanks. Ritter, I'm good. We've got Jake Stidham, who's going to start for Denver, going up against the Chargers defense. The Chargers suck. They've sucked all along. Stidham's going to get this opportunity to start here. I don't know. It's one of those things to where if I'm going to pay all the way down to 4,800, then I'm probably just coming down to Tyrod Taylor. Like I said, he's getting the start. He's at home. He's taking on a Rams team, and their defense doesn't really scare me. And I know that if they pressure him at all, that Tyrod Taylor is going to take off. 7 for 16, 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He rushed 2 attempts last week, 21 yards. Excuse me. Yeah, I just like everything Tyrod brings to the table. I mean, he put up 10.42 points in a half. I mean, so if he puts up 20 points, 20 points pays off his $4,600 salary and then some. So if he can do 10 points and a half, I don't see why he can't do it there. And that was the thing last week. Like, he didn't drag anybody along. You're like, man, I wish I had him. And I think the only person that it was maybe Darius Slayton. So if I'm playing Todd, I'm probably just going to run him. I'm going to run him by himself. I'm not going to play him with anybody. I'm just going to go ahead and do the thing here. So Tyrod Taylor is probably where I'm going this week. But yeah, I mean, I guess it really kind of depends. I mean, he's creeping his way up the ownership board, but he's still under 10%. So I do like that. So yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, we'll see how things shake out on Sunday when we're here live on the Sunday show. I'll know a little more. I'll be able to give you some advice. But with that said, we're going to jump over to another commercial, and then we'll jump into the running back position here on the DFS Deep Dive.
For Fantasy's Sake has teamed up with Route 96 Boutique to raise a little more cash for Toys for Tots this season. From September 10th until the end of November, 10% of all purchases made with Route 96 on Sundays will be donated to us for our Toys for Tots drive. At Route 96, they believe in girl power. They want a place that people of all shapes and sizes can shop and feel empowered and beautiful. They want you to be the best you possible, and they are committed to bringing you different styles while also providing some basics to express the true you. You can find them on Facebook and at Route96Boutique.com.
Route 96 Boutique, check them out. Every week, get a comment from the wife. Play the best players, win 40,000. If only. Maybe I could be like the guy who did, what was it, 15 leg parlay of anytime touchdown scorers. I actually got invested on that right before Christian McCaffrey, right before the afternoon game started. And Christian McCaffrey, I was kind of watching. I was like, wow. I was like, well, if this guy scores, then we're good to go. And crazy. If you haven't seen the video, you kind of see the video of him, and he's with his buddies, and he's standing there, and he's wide-eyed, and he's watching. And Christian McCaffrey breaks one and scores, and he puts his arms up, and you just see the look on his face, like the shock. And his buddies are congratulating him, and he stops everybody. He's like, hold on. Did he go down? Did he go down? And they confirm the touchdown, and he just kind of falls over. I mean, that's just life-changing money. $500,000. A $5 bet. I mean, lottery tickets. All right, jumping into running backs. Kind of the same thing here. Running back wise, there's really not a lot of guys in that mid-tier range that I'm really targeting. Tyrod Taylor, and you can throw in a couple of these other cheap, one cheap guy, and you can afford the best two guys on the slate, in my opinion. Christian McCaffrey, Kyren Williams. Like I said, McCaffrey just gets it done. He's probably a lock to score a touchdown every week. He's going to get carries. He's going to get looks. He's going to catch passes. And if they're blowing out Washington, it's probably on his back, like it has been all year. You can fight me if you want. There is not, and everybody can say, like, even Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is probably the only quarterback who has even remotely made me think, like, yeah, he kind of deserves the MVP. But if you want to look at, even if you're just looking at fantasy stats, Christian McCaffrey is in like the top 20 of overall fantasy points, depending on what you're doing for overall and how you score your league. Christian McCaffrey's in the top 15 for fantasy points. Top 15. He is, I mean, at least in the league that I run, top 15. I mean, he's outscored tons of quarterbacks. He hasn't been injured all year long. He's got as many points as Derek Carr, and that's why I think Derek Carr sucks. But I mean, literally, he is only behind. He's only behind quarterbacks. The only other position player who's in the top 20 is Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry, like Christian McCaffrey to me deserves to be MVP of the National Football League. Let's give it to a position player for once. Like, it would be really cool to see. If anybody's deserved it, it's this guy. So you can plug in your lineup. I mean, I'm plugging him in. Kyron Williams, same thing. The guy just gets a ton of volume. Last week, 22 attempts, 104 yards, no targets, which is weird because, I mean, the guy sees targets all the time. But no targets last week. If I'm not mistaken, we're kind of rolling in that game. And I think the Saints had to come back. So that could be – that was a Thursday night game too. So if you look at the matchup, yeah, I mean, it was 27-7 and going into the fourth quarter. So, you know, they really didn't have to pass. It was all just kind of giving it to him. But like I said, I mean, if he's getting 16 carries, it's probably because he's getting 6 catches. I mean, 13 carries, 2 catches. I mean, the guys, if he's not getting work here, he's getting work here. So the 20, I think the 20 rushes or 20 touches combined is probably the floor. I think that's what he's going to get no matter what. I don't think he's I don't think he's going to get anything less than that. And going against the Giants, I could see him rolling here, giving him a rock to run out the clock. If you didn't know, I'm a rapper on the side. But yeah, so I like those two guys. Rachaad White, just off volume alone, he's just been a stud all year. Like I said, he's kind of been the poor man's Kyron Williams. Now he's getting priced up. I mean, he's pretty much a lock for close, at least 15 points, probably closer to 20 most weeks. He's getting the red zone looks. He's getting passes. Baker Mayfield, they really, really like to dump it off to him in the screen game. So I like Rachaad White. Alvin Kamara, I mean, his price is coming down a little bit, but I mean, if I'm going to pay all the way up, I'm probably just going to go to Rachaad White just because he's a little bit more involved in the offense, in my opinion. The Saints just have too many people that they're trying to get the ball to. Jonathan Taylor. So Zach Moss is out again this week. Jonathan Taylor came back last week. Zach Moss came out, and Jonathan Taylor went right back to getting 18 carries. Now being back a week, coming out of last week unscathed, I definitely see it again. I probably see him getting, at least 20 touches. He does get passing game work. Don't let the one target last week fool you or scare you. They were just, it was just one of those things where they were really kind of out of the game. Atlanta really took over the game last week. So, why risk it? Why keep your guy out there? Travis Etienne. So now with no Trevor Lawrence, I do think Carolina will be a little bit better against the run. I do think they maybe stack the box a little bit and make CJ Beathard beat him. At least that's what I'd do if I was a coach. James Cook, he had the one huge game against Dallas, and that's really kind of, he had back-to-back weeks where he had over 20 points, and he's only had one other week where he scored over 20. 7,100 is way too expensive for the guy. I mean, he had 6 points last week at 6,500, and they bumped him all the way up to 7,100. No thanks. I'll pass. Raheem Mostert going up against Baltimore. I'm staying away from Mostert. I'm staying away from Achane. Pacheco. So Pacheco is still under concussion protocol. So if he's out, look for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I skipped over some guys. Derrick Henry, no thanks, Derrick Henry. Like I said, Tennessee really doesn't have a whole lot to play for. I could definitely see Tajay Spears getting a lot of the work. I mean, they've been kind of in a 50-50 share anyway. So why risk getting Henry hurt when you could probably trade him in the offseason for probably a 3 or 4 or a third or fourth round pick at the least. Saquon Barkley going against the Rams. The Rams have been pretty decent against the run. I think the offense of the Giants really kind of flows through Saquon. they're kind of in it last week for the most part. I do like his upside a little bit. I mean, you could stack Saquon with Tyrod Taylor and probably lock up 95% of the touchdowns. So I don't mind that play, but we'll have to see as the week kind of goes on. Austin Eckler. Now, I hate that they don't really have. They're not using him. So it's one of those things to where the Chargers are kind of giving up on the season. With Herbert going down. I mean, Allen's been hurt. I mean, they lost Mike Williams. Josh Palmer's hurt right now. They don't know if he's going to play this week. I mean, there's really no reason to trudge the guy out there. 15 carries, 65 yards. I mean, still some of the targets, but he's splitting carries. The price point is intriguing. The matchup is intriguing, but I'm leaning the other way. They're not going to use him to his full potential. Then, the upside just it's there, but it's not. Bijan Robinson going up against Chicago. Chicago's been a lot better against the run lately, but I don't mind the way they've been using Bijan here. 12 attempts, 72 yards, 10 targets. I mean, the guy is getting a ton of passing game work. Don't mind that play. DeAndre Swift is somebody who I originally had in my lineup to start, just going up against Arizona. They've been terrible against the run. Swift, I mean, no matter what the matchup is, I mean, the guy just kind of gets you 15 points. That's it. He doesn't get the goal line work because they were worried about Jalen Hurts getting in there and breaking the touchdown record. It's funny. I watched a video about how Cam Newton got to that record, and Cam Newton was ripping off 30, 40, 50-yard runs where Jalen Hurts has just been getting pushed in by his lineman. He's really not doing it all on his own. Not taking away from Jalen Hurts. Congrats, but Cam Newton was a different animal when he was out there running the ball. Joe Mixon, I don't mind Joe Mixon. The Chiefs' defense has been a little stingy. I don't mind it, but and they're kind of going to need him. But like Chase Brown has been in there, and he's been getting some of the work. So Joe Mixon really isn't getting all the touches. Josh Jacobs is doubtful, like I said. So Zamir White, lock and load. Kenny Walker, questionable for the tie. He's a game time decision now. So I wasn't really a big fan of the matchup anyway against Pittsburgh. So we'll have to see. Ezekiel Elliott, this is somebody else that I kind of like. That's not me being a Cowboys fan. His legs weren't there the last couple of years with Dallas anyway. But and you can still see. I mean, this isn't what I'm talking about. This isn't where I'm going. This is where I'm going. 8 targets, 6 targets, 11 targets. I mean, 5 targets the week before that. I mean, since he's kind of taken over the backfield, since Ramondre Stevenson went, I mean, the targets are just insane. Insane. I mean, he didn't do a whole lot against Kansas City, but they were kind of out of that game anyway. But like the Pittsburgh win, I mean, 27 points. The Denver win, 21 points. So, I mean, it's one of those things to where, it's $6K, 21 points is, it's almost 4 times the salary. I mean, he's going to be the only one back there getting the work. So not a bad option. Gus Edwards, no, I mean, he's kind of stayed that same price all year. He does have a pop game every once in a while. He scores a lot of touchdowns. I mean, but I just think there's better options. James Conner against Philly. Philly's been a good run D all year. Chuba Hubbard, I think he doesn't have full participant practice this week. He's one of those guys who's just getting all the backfield carries. I mean, 16 carries last week, only 1 target. The targets really aren't there, but he's getting, he's going to be at least 15 touches a game, depending on how the game script is going. Brian Robinson's back, but no thanks. Devin Singletary's another guy. Didn't do a whole lot last week, but they kind of got blown out by Cleveland. But man, I mean, just by volume alone, I like him. Tennessee's defense is pretty stingy against the run, but that didn't matter 2 weeks ago. Now, this is kind of what scares me then. They just played Tennessee 2 weeks ago. Tennessee got burned by them. I think Tennessee really shores that up, and they make C.J. Stroud kind of beat him. So that's why I think C.J. Stroud might have a better game. Javonte Williams, I guess it really depends. I mean, hell, Sean Payton could think that Javonte Williams isn't fast enough either. And, really makes him work too. But, I mean, since he's been back, I mean, he's had a few good games. He's been getting a majority of the touches, but he just hasn't done a whole lot. This is probably the best matchup that he's seen in a while, though. So there is some interest there. Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris really kind of took over, and Najee Harris is a lot cheaper. Najee Harris took over the lead back role. He's gotten a lot more touches. He's out-touched him 2-1 almost the last few weeks. But Jaylen Warren's getting the passing game work. So, that's why he's scoring well. But Najee Harris is going to be the guy getting the stuff towards the goal line. So I don't Najee Harris. Jaylen Warren, I'm not, I guess I'd rather pay down for Harris because Harris is still involved in the passing game. Or at least he was a couple weeks ago. I guess not in the last 2 weeks, he really hasn't. So interesting there. If you want the passing upside, if you think Pittsburgh's going to be trailing, I think this is your guy. If you think that Pittsburgh's going to be grinding it out and take a lead, Najee Harris is the guy. It's all depending on game script for that one. No to Khalil Herbert. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He is in line to get all the Jarrett McKinnon's on the IR. Isaiah Pacheco is listed as questionable. He's still in concussion protocol, and his shoulder's still banged up. But Edwards-Helaire was sick yesterday and today, so he didn't practice. Keep an eye on it. Obviously, I'm off of him, and you can easily pivot down to Zamir White. Zamir White is in line for all the touches again here. The passing game work is a little worrisome, but it is what it is. I mean, and he really didn't pay off his salary. He ripped a 43-yarder late game to kind of ice the game against the Chiefs. So, granted, the matchup is way better. So, I think after Najee Harris, I mean, you could kind of come down here and look at like Tyler Algier, who's not a bad play. I mean, Chase Brown, if you think he's going to get some running game or some work in the passing game. I mean, he is kind of the direct backup right now. And then Tajay Spears, like I said, I mean, he's gotten no less than 7 touches in the last 4 weeks. And he's getting 90% of the passing game work. Like that, Derrick Henry gets one every once in a while. But, I mean, he could definitely, like I said, I think if Tennessee's trailing in this game, this is where you're going. And I just don't think Derrick Henry has it. At least not this season. Who knows? He could change it. But that's it for running backs. We're going to jump into the wide receiver position here real quick after this next commercial from Ryan Allison Tattoo. I'm going to continue to blast it all over social media. So if you've seen any of my stuff or any of my Facebook pages, he just did a real cool piece on, for all your anime fans, Vegeta, Prince of Saiyans. Check it out. It's pretty sick. They did a bunch of the line work. I asked him about it. He said, unfortunately, it's not a multi-day tattoo. So they're having it in April, but I'm excited to check it out. So check out Ryan Allison Tattoo, Why Not Studios in Davenport, Iowa.
My name's Ryan Allison. I've spent over a decade immersed in the art of tattooing. Sharply honing my skills has materialized into a diverse and prestigious body of work. Each tattoo reflects my relentless pursuit of excellence, and every client I work with is a living embodiment of that unwavering commitment. I will gladly and wholeheartedly embrace your distinct vision.
Check him out. You won't be disappointed. Oh, let's get into wide receivers here. And so this is kind of where I ended my article off, was with wide receiver position. And it's kind of where I'm kind of not stuck, but it's kind of where I'm sitting right now. So bear with me here because I'm kind of looking over a majority of this as we speak. Tyreek Hill going up against Baltimore. Tyreek Hill's matchup proof. It's just a matter if Tua's going to have time to hit him, which they don't need a whole lot of time with how fast he is. I do think he can break one, but I guess if I'm paying up $9,300, I want Christian McCaffrey in a better matchup. That's me. AJ Brown just really hasn't been doing it lately. Started off the season so hot, just with somebody that you couldn't get away from. I think teams kind of realized that, so they're making Devonta Smith beat him, which has also been working out. So I guess if I'm going to play Tua, I'll play Tyreek. If I'm going to play Hurts, I'm going to play AJ Brown. And that brings me to Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. If I'm going to play Josh Allen, I'm probably going to pair him up with Stephon Diggs. I just don't like Stephon Diggs as a standalone play. He hasn't done it all year long. He has had a couple pop games, but when he's having pop games, so is Josh Allen. So, if you're going to match it up there, I would say, keep Stephon Diggs in your Josh Allen stacks. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Nacua just popped up, missed Friday's practice with a hip injury. He's still expected to play, according to Sean McVay. So, honestly, the choice is up to you. Honestly, if I'm going to play Matthew Stafford, I'm probably going to stack him with Kyron Williams and Demarcus Robinson, because Demarcus Robinson has come out of nowhere. I didn't play Robinson last week, and it kind of came back. Not 2 weeks ago. I didn't play him because flash in the pan. And Demarcus Robinson's been the real deal, even with Tua Atwell. So I'm kind of staying away from there. Mike Evans, I didn't really like the matchup going up against New Orleans. Keenan Allen's out, Jalen Waddle's out. Honestly, my first kind of look at wide receiver was right here with Deebo Samuel. Between Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, they've got one of the better matchups. If I'm going to play those guys, Brock Purdy, I'm probably going to stack them with one or both of. Probably not even both of, probably one of, and then also Christian McCaffrey. So, I like to kind of keep my quarterbacks and my wide receivers in stacks if I can. Jamar Chase, he was talking some crap about the Kansas City defense. He's back at practice after his AC joint sprain. I kind of borderline on Jamar Chase right now. The price is super cheap, but he really kind of, even with Joe Burrow in there, really hasn't done a whole lot. Michael Pittman should be back. I don't mind Michael Pittman going up against the Raiders. Devonta Adams, no thanks. Not with Aiden O'Connell throwing you the ball. Devonta Smith, I kind of already talked about him. I don't mind the price savings you get compared to AJ Brown, and Smith has just kind of been doing it on just what he can. He's been kind of catching the deep ball. So it all depends on how that game flow goes too. Nico Collins, I really, really am interested in Nico Collins and Noah Brown with CJ Stroud back. Kind of really mediocre the last couple weeks with CJ Stroud out. But man, if you look at the 2 games before that when they were kind of firing on all cylinders, Noah Brown's the number 2, Nico Collins is the number 1. DK Metcalf popped up with a questionable stiffness in his lower back, but he's still in line to play. I would expect him to play with Seattle season kind of being on the line. Brandon Ayuk, I just talked about him. Rashee Rice, if I was going to play Pat Mahomes, I'm probably stacking him with Rashee Rice. Rice has just been kind of killing it lately. Somebody who I'm really, really interested in, who didn't really think anything of it, but going up against Tampa Bay's crappy defense that can't do anything against the pass, Chris Olave, he took 90% of the target share last week, something crazy like that, or 75%. I can't remember what it was. I don't mind Chris Olave at all. I'd probably pay down for him over Nico Collins and then turn around and come back with somebody different. Calvin Ridley, CJ Beathard throwing you the ball, no thanks. DJ Moore, he's just kind of been lately. Atlanta's been stingy, so I think I'm good. Same with Higgins against Kansas City's defense. Cortland Sutton has been ruled out, but I really don't care with Jarrett Stidham throwing you the ball. And I don't want to play Jerry Jeudy, so yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man. Wide receiver position is just not there for me. That's why this is a running back week for me all the way. If I'm playing, I think I'm just plugging those guys in without a doubt. I'll definitely put Christian McCaffrey in my flex position just because he plays late, and if something were to change, it just leaves me all the salary, and I can kind of pick between who I want, regardless of position. Chris Godwin, he had the one good pop week, and that's kind of all he's done all year long. So I'm kind of staying away from him. Hopkins has had 2 back-to-back just terrible weeks with both quarterbacks in there. I don't know. I mean, this could be the week where Hopkins comes back to bite you. He's been in the top 10 of ownership every week for the last month, and he's there again. I mean, people just like getting burned by the guy, but we'll see what happens. Adam Thielen. So this was right around the price where he was. This is Adam Thielen is priced down to where it was at the beginning of the season when he was just murdering it. I mean, last time he was $5,900, he put up 31.5 points, and since that game, he hasn't done it at all. Not at all. Done anything like that. Did we see old Adam Thielen? Maybe. Tyler Lockett. If DK Metcalf sits, I don't mind Tyler Lockett. 11 targets, 9 targets the week before that. With 11 targets and 8 catches, you think you'd have a better score than 16. But 16 points at 5,700. I mean, it's almost not even correct. So I don't mind it. I just worry that is Geno Smith have time to throw him the ball. Zay Flowers, somebody that I don't mind here. If Baltimore's doing something, I think they usually do it. Lamar's probably doing it with his legs, but Zay Flowers really showed out last week. 13 targets, 9 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown, 22.2 points. He's questionable right now. He practiced Friday after sitting out Wednesday and Thursday. Zay Flowers is somebody that I don't mind. Gabe Davis, I probably keep him. Josh Allen stacks. Terry McLaurin. You can beat the 49ers through the air, but is Jacoby Brissett going to look at, is he going to look at McLaurin and then run? Who knows? Josh Downs is a little bit of the shine comes off him. If Michael Pittman is back and ready to play. Jacoby Myers, no thanks. George Pickens. I mean, if you want to talk about a guy who had his best game of probably his career, it was last week. I played the showdown and I'm watching the game and this dude catches 2 bombs. And I'm just like, who the hell is this guy? Like, where did he come from? I was set on Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson didn't do it for me. Makes me mad, upsets me. I don't like chasing the game, but he has a clear connection with Mason Rudolph. Don't mind putting George Pickens in there as just I had Drake London, which I don't mind Drake London either, going up against Chicago. But let's throw George Pickens. Let's see what happens. Marquise Brown on the IR. So he was just out, but he is now on the IR, which means that you have Trey McBride, Greg Dortch, Rondale Moore, and Michael Wilson as the primary pass catchers for Arizona. Noah Brown, somebody else I didn't mind now with CJ Stroud back. He's just a way better receiver with CJ Stroud on the field. I mean, he's had over 150-yard games, but then his floor is also 0. So you do have to worry about that. You have to worry about, is a guy going to go off for 50 points, or is he going to give him 0? Who knows? So that's not somebody that I don't mind. Jerry Jeudy now kind of falls into the number 1 spot. Misses Friday's practice due to illness. So, he should be back by Sunday. We'll see, but I don't like Jarrett Stidham throwing you the ball anyway. Drake London, somebody I don't mind going up to Chicago. Deontay Johnson obviously doesn't have the same rapport with Mason Rudolph that George Pickens does, but this would be a week where George Pickens doesn't do anything. Deontay Johnson does it all. And I'm just always on the opposite side, which really sucks. Josh Palmer is now out. So Quentin Johnston, Jalen Guyton, and Alex Erickson are your top wideouts. But we'll get into who I really, really like now in a second. Jackson Smith and Jigba. If anybody saw him bust his knee on the 6 inches of concrete that's exposed, I thought the guy tore his ACL for a minute, but glad to see him back. No injury designation. Tyler Boyd, I'm good. Demarcus Robinson, he was somebody who I was talking about earlier. I don't mind that play going up against the Giants. Giants have not been good on offense or on defense. I don't mind DeMarcus Robinson. Like I said, he's kind of been just doing it all, and it's really kind of taken the shine off of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Rashid Shaheed's kind of your deep bomb guy. Was he even playing in this matchup earlier this year? He did. 3 catches, 33 yards, no touchdown, just 6 points. I don't mind Odell Beckham in like your Lamar stacks, Curtis Samuel. Like I said, he's kind of the second, third option on the Washington team, and I don't think Jacoby Brissett's going to have that much time to throw. Demario Douglas, and Zeke's kind of been getting all the passing game work too. 8 targets last week, 5 receptions for 74 yards. Not bad. I'm sure he's going to get targets. They got to throw to somebody. Jahan Dotson, kind of the same thing as Curtis Samuel, Zay Jones. Not with CJ Beathard throwing you the ball, being the third option on the team now. Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't mind stacking him with Tyrod Taylor, but I think I'm going to go a little bit farther down. Darnell Mooney's out. So you probably could see a really cheap Bears wide receiver float up in ownership. Alec Pierce, no. Michael Thomas is IR. Parker Wilson, no. Juwan Jennings is out. You could get Quentin Johnston for super cheap, but now he's probably going to be blanketed by Patrick Surtain. So I think I'll stay away from that. Rashad Bateman, Cedric Wilson with Jalen Waddle being out. He was somebody who I had plugged in here. And you kind of need a cheap guy just to make your lineup really, really work. Somebody else I don't mind, like DJ Chark or Jonathan Mingo. Chark had a huge game last week. 6 catches, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I don't think he does that again. I don't want to chase that. But, he kind of he had all the targets last week. So who knows? Talked about Rondale Moore, Michael Wilson. Those guys are going to be your 2 and 3. And that's kind of, Justin, all these other guys you're really kind of taking a shot on. This was the guy that I didn't mind at all pairing up with Tyrod Taylor this week. 3 targets, 3 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. I don't mind this if he's going to look his way, but that's what I'm saying. I don't want to have to guess. So I'm probably just going to stack Tyrod Taylor by himself. Braxton Berrios is probably another guy you can look at with no Jalen Waddle. But I think Cedric Wilson's more of the guy that's going to jump in there. And honestly, after that, it's kind of it. There's guys you can take a shot on, like Yoshi Vash. He had a huge game last week. Well, not a huge game, but he saw 8 targets. I kept saying his name, and that's how I remembered how to say his name is Yoshi Vash. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't pronounce that way at all. Tight end. Jump right into tight end here. Travis Kelce was his cheapest price he's been all year. Yeah. Way priced. 7. Besides the one game against the Chargers, the dude has been just as disappointing as Pat Mahomes. I think I'm staying away from Travis Kelce. McBride. This dude's just been, like last week, we had to choose between McBride and Njoku. And Njoku just had another massive game last night. I think the first 2 drives, he had 4 catches for over 100 yards. I don't mind Trey McBride here. His price is just creeping way up. So I think I'm going to stick to where I want to go, but we'll keep going. Evan Ingram, no thanks. Not with Beathard throwing you the ball. George Kittle, right now, he is in the top 3 of highest owned tight ends. I don't mind it. Washington's a little bit better against tight ends, as DraftKings says, but we'll see. I don't trust any of the Buffalo receivers. If you're going to put Josh Allen in a lineup, you can stack him with pretty much any of these guys. It's a guessing game at this point. Goddard, I don't mind Goddard. Kmet, he didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday, but he practiced today. So now with Darnell Mooney out, I don't mind Cole Kmet. Fields likes to look his way a lot. Isaiah likely somebody else I like. Darren Waller was the guy who I kind of originally had stacked with Tyrod Taylor. When Tyrod came in, he kind of looked his way quite a bit. So if Waller and Tyrod have a connection, that's not a bad spot to go. Taysom Hill, I mean, he's come way down in price, which is great because there's no reason this guy should be 5,500 unless he's starting at quarterback, which he's not. It's kind of the same thing though. Like he'll probably get some more looks this week. I mean, Chris Olave can't do as he can't have as much of the target share as he did. But I'll pass on Taysom Hill. Dalton Schultz, I like it better with CJ Stroud throwing the ball. Tennessee's been really good against tight ends. Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry, I'm good. Firemouth didn't have a target last week. Chico Conquo's been really good. They finally brought his price up from the 3K range all the way up to 3,600. I mean, he's just a big-bodied guy who goes out and catches passes. So don't mind that. He was kind of a security blanket last week for Ryan Tannehill. Now that Levis is supposed to be back in, we'll see. Logan Thomas, I guess if I'm going to pay around that range, this is my guy right here, Jared Everett. 8 targets the last 3 weeks in a row. Now there's nobody else. There's a rookie. There's Jalen Guyton. There's Quentin Johnston, who's the rookie. And then Alex Erickson, who I have no idea who the hell that is. Yeah, I am on board that guy. I mean, they'll probably have to bring Parham back just to get another body out there. But Gerald Everett's kind of who I'm going to plug in. Keep scrolling down here. I don't mind Jawan Johnson. You know, he picked up 7 targets last week and a touchdown. They're looking for him in the red zone and in the end zone. Don't mind it. Hudson, no. Sorry, I had like something stuck in my throat. Dying. No to Tanner Hudson, no to Tyler Higbee. I really liked Cade Otton a couple weeks ago, and now I'm just like, yeah. He hasn't been getting a ton of targets. Like they've been going elsewhere with it. Dawson Knox, as long as Dalton Kincaid's on the field, I think they kill each other's upside. Jonnu Smith. So Kyle Pitts had like 3 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown. But Jonnu Smith is just still out there getting targets. I mean, 6 targets, 4 catches, 32 yards. At 3K, I don't mind Jonnu Smith. Like I said, I think Gerald's kind of this week. I was going to say if Cole Kmet was out, then maybe Robert Tonyan. But other than that, I think I'm good. I think I'm any lower than that. So that'll bring us to defense. And now there's a lot of defenses you can play for. So I'm going to kind of fill out Tyrod Taylor. So, and that's where, like I said, if you keep this kind of lineup here, like as you see, I only have just shy of $4,000 left per. That's why if we start at the bottom, like I'm not paying for the Commanders against San Francisco. The Patriots against Buffalo is not the worst thing in the world. They scored 5 points. I mean, 5 points at 2,300s. Respectable. It's points and won that game. Do I think they come out and win this game? No, not on the road. Buffalo's a hard place to play. But, if Josh Allen can throw a few interceptions, why not? No to the Cardinals Philly. They haven't been able to stop anybody. No to the Giants against the Rams. The Bengals going up against Kansas City. Maybe. If they were at home, maybe. The Panthers, now this is somebody that I probably don't mind going up against CJ Beathard now. I could see plugging in the Panthers just to stay away from kind of who I was thinking with the Broncos. So you could do the Panthers, maybe even the Ravens against Miami. I mean, we've seen the Dolphins have some pretty crappy games. The Ravens are at home. They're playing good defense. They're playing good ball all around. I mean, they scored 15 points against San Francisco. Honestly, I don't mind that. I don't mind plugging the Ravens in. Just to kind of keep going, though, Chargers against Denver, the Broncos against Chargers. I don't mind either one of these plays. The Raiders against Indianapolis. I don't mind it. I just wish the Raiders were at home. Even though they did put up a good game against 21 points, 25 and 21 points the last 2 weeks. I mean, who knows? The Texans against Tennessee with Will Levis back behind center again. I don't mind Houston. No thanks to the Saints against Tampa Bay. The Falcons are somebody else who's been pretty stingy. All these matchups that I like, I don't like that the team's on the road. Not saying that they can't do it. Justin Fields has kind of shown his ass lately. I don't mind the Falcons. I don't mind the Colts against Aiden O'Connell. I just like kind of sticking a little bit lower. I guess if I had the salary left over, I could go to the Colts. Titans, not with CJ Stroud back. Steelers, Bucks, I don't mind the Bucks. I don't mind the Bears. The Rams against the Giants, like that would kind of be like where you think you could go, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to play them against my quarterback either. Chiefs against the Bengals, I don't mind that. I mean, honestly, you start to kind of get up here and you're like, I don't know. I feel like the Seahawks shouldn't be priced up as high as they should be. The Jaguars, okay. 49ers, Eagles, Bills. I mean, you can make a case for any three of those if you have the salary, but I don't have the salary, so I'm not paying all the way up for that. So we've got the lineup pretty well figured out for the most part. And like I said, this will probably be pretty similar unless there's some crazy news that comes out. This will probably be where I sit as far as lineup goes. I mean, it just lets you get the two best running backs on the slate. Olave. I mean, if we get Pickens here, I think we go to Zamir White, who's who I originally had in there. So you go to Zamir White. That leaves you $4,600 per. So now you could either pay for two middling wide receivers, which I don't totally mind, or you could pay up for one and down for the other. So if we were going to kind of go with that route, like I said, you could go with, I'm going to take the home run shot. So I'm going to take the home run shot on Darius Slayton. This is a guy, 3 targets, 3 catches, 90 yards, and a tutty. Darius Slayton, you plug him in there, that gives you $5,900 in the wide receivers position. And this is kind of the realm where I was like, I don't mind it. I mean, it really does. I mean, it gives you some options. You go Adam Thielen, who is priced as cheap as he was when he was putting up 30 points. If DK Metcalf is out, I don't mind Tyler Lockett. Get a piece of that Miami-Baltimore game in Zay Flowers. If Michael Pittman ends up being out, I don't mind Josh Downs. Get you to George Pickens, to Noah Brown. If Jerry Judy's going to be number one, you could take a shot on Jerry Judy. But honestly, I think you slot in right here. Slot in Zay Flowers, which I really like the little baby stack here. Zay Flowers with the Ravens defense. I don't mind that at all. Usually I like to pair my defense with either like the tight end or the running back. But still, it's like a little secondary stack. But Tyrod Taylor, running him naked here. Zamir White, who is in line to get all the touches. A little bring back here with Kyron Williams. Chris Olave, who are in a must-win game against a pretty terrible secondary. Darius Slayton as a stack piece with Tyrod Taylor. Zay Flowers, and I said Tyrod Taylor running and make it. I forgot that I put Darius Slayton in there last second. So Tyrod Taylor stacked to Darius Slayton, bring back Kyron Williams, Samir White, who's going to get all the touches for Las Vegas. Chris Olave, who had a huge game, could have another big game. Let's see what he did against Tampa Bay the last time. Like I said, only 1.4 points. So, but we'll see. Could be a little different. You could change that up a little bit. You can't look back on that and say, "Oh, I'm not going to play him because he had a bad game last time." We know how that'll go and how that'll work in favor. Zay Flowers getting a piece of that Miami-Baltimore game. Gerald Everett has probably one of the few passing options left in Los Angeles. Christian McCaffrey, best running back on the slate, and then Baltimore's defense. I don't mind that. I'm going to go ahead and update that entry because that is probably pretty close to what I go with this week. So that's updated now. We're looking good there. Stop the screen share. That puts me at an hour and 10 minutes. So thanks for tuning in. I know I started a little late compared to usual. Usually we start at 7:15. We were kind of eating a late dinner. We've been working on the basement. I'm trying to get it done here. But yeah, with that being said, I hope everybody had a good Christmas. Hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year's. Don't forget that football's on New Year's. So everybody have a safe New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Enjoy going back to work. Enjoy the new year. And we'll see you here on Sunday on the For Frequency's Sake Network.